This is Kate Krause. She's our senior librarian in the Research Medical Library. And today is not is Halloween, but this month has also been National Medical Librarians Month. So one of the things that we focus on in the library is making sure that you are getting accurate information. And today, Kate is going to talk about decoding disinformation, talk about what it is, and give us some tools for figuring out whether it is accurate information or not. So I'm going to let you take it away, Kate.
Thanks, Larissa. Hi, everybody. Today, talking about disinformation, it's a serious topic, but I'm going to use some fun examples on purpose just to stay away from real politics and real news, real disinformation. So hopefully this will be a little bit more funner than you would imagine. We'd also really like to hear your comments and your experiences in the chat box. So as we go through the slides, please put in what you recommend and your experiences. So we got the idea for this class after Hurricane Harvey in Houston, where a lot of people posted and reposted this image showing a shark swimming down a flooded Houston freeway. The image, though, was fake, of course, and it's been around for about 10 years now, and people have posted it and reposted it after almost every single hurricane all over the US. So this is, a fun and goofy image of a shark going down I-10, and it doesn't really matter much in the grander scheme of things. But there are much more serious implications for fake images like this and fake news stories and other types of fake information. And they're all increasing at such a fast rate. So we all know we've been in an era of information overload for a long time now. There's just too much information to keep up with. But now, not only is there information overload, there's also information pollution, just the web being full of untrue information. So we're going to talk about the different types of disinformation, and we're going to provide a few tips on how to deal with it. We are concentrating on disinformation on the web, but this does also apply to information that you can get from the radio or TV, newspapers, really any kind of information source. So first, let's clarify a couple of really important terms. We've got a Venn diagram here with misinformation on the left, disinformation in the middle, and malinformation on the right. And a lot of times people kind of use these interchangeably, but there is a difference. So misinformation on the left is simply false or inaccurate information. And often the user believes it to be true. It could be just simple error or gossip or anecdotal information, like a friend telling you something like, oh, I never eat chocolate because it makes your face break out, which is completely not true, but they believe it, and they're not really trying to harm you by telling you it. So it's fake or untrue, but it's not intended to harm. This information in the middle, which is what we're going to be concentrating on, is false information that is intended to deceive or harm or simply make money off of you. And the creator knows it's false. Malinformation in red on the right, this was a new term for me, and it's interesting. It's often true information, but it's private information that was never meant by the creator to be released to the public. And it's definitely intended to harm the person who created it. So it might be something like private videos, home videos, or personal diaries that were released without the owner's consent. It could also sometimes be simply a photo, quote, presented out of context. So once again, people use these terms interchangeably, and the definitions are kind of fluid. I sometimes myself say misinformation and disinformation when I mean the other one. So if I do that and slip up, let me know. So there's a lot of different types of disinformation. You're probably familiar with a lot of them. Fake news, propaganda, junk science. Um, there's tons of different types, but there's a few that you might not be too familiar with. But for right now, let's start off with the one that everybody knows. Fake news. So much of it. I think we all know what fake news is. False or misleading information that's presented as actual news. I think I really need to give you any examples, but there's a couple of really interesting things about it. For one, it's been around a long, long time. So here we have a decree from King Charles II in 1674, a proclamation by the king to restrain the spreading of false news. This had become a problem with the invention of the printing press, which increased the amount and speed with news could travel. It seems that technological advances seem to increase the spread of fake news, like the invention of the printing press in the 1500s and the telegraph in the 1800s. Both of those things made fake news explode. In the 1800s, actually, the term fake news was actually used for the first time. There was a lot of fake news in the newspapers at the time, which made the United States enter into the Spanish-American War of 1898. You may never have heard of the Spanish-American War. Don't feel bad. It only lasted 4 months, but it resulted in, a lot of deaths and the U.S. acquiring territories like Puerto Rico and Guam, and for a while the Philippines. So back then, newspapers were the primary source of fake news. But now, now the leading sources of fake news are the social media websites, the Twitter, X, MySpace, Face, Tubulons, whatever is new, Reddit. I have a hard time keeping up with all of them. Social media is a big factor. Misleading websites, biased news outlets, and just plain old-fashioned word of mouth. But social media is one of the biggest spreaders of fake news. It's interesting. By its nature, social media just spreads disinformation just by how it's set up. People who create social media want as many clicks as possible. And so the more sensationalized their content is, the more clicks they get. Um, you know, Sometimes the truth is kind of boring. It's not new or interesting, but sensationalized content definitely is. The spread of disinformation on social media is made worse because there's little to no content moderation on most social media websites. They're trying, but there's just so huge, it's difficult to vet everything. The content is user generated, so it's not produced by journalists or scientists or scholars. And for the most part, there are absolutely no repercussions for posting something that is not true. Unless it's like serious slander or fraud or pirated movies or something else that breaks the law. Social media also just makes it so easy and so fast to instantaneously spread disinformation around the world. And it's being generated and viewed 24/7. So, y'all remember back in the 80s, when the supermarket checkout aisles, there used to be a lot of these just absolutely fun tabloids with crazy stories that were completely fake information. That was when fake news was just so obviously fake that nobody took it very seriously. And I don't think it was even meant to be taken seriously. It was really for entertainment purposes. This is Bat Boy, one of my favorites from the Weekly World News in 1992. They actually went on to make a musical out of this, y'all, which I am embarrassed to admit that I did go see, and it was very fun. Unfortunately, fake news today is a whole different ballgame. It's a lot more serious, it does a lot more harm, and it's a lot more difficult to tell what's true and what isn't. There are some tools, though, that help. We've got a lot of fact-checking websites that can help. There's dozens and dozens of them. This is just a short list of the ones that are pretty much the most well-regarded ones that have been around the longest. None of them are completely perfect, but for the most part, they're pretty reliable. Most of these are focused on U.S. news and world events. I'm sorry, U.S. news and events. If you want something that's a little bit more international in scope or focused on a particular country, you can go to Wikipedia at the bottom. They have a list of fact-checking websites that they categorize by country. So that's pretty helpful. We're just going to go over the first two, which are kind of interesting. The first one is Snopes, which started out a long time ago as a website that checked on the truth of urban legends and popular culture stories. So it was kind of fun, but it's grown now over the years, and it now analyzes a lot of real news stories as well. It's a good place to check on images or stories that you see on the web that you are not sure if they're fake or not. Like this idea that coil mattresses cause cancer by amplifying radio waves. It's kind of fun to just go and check out Snopes to see all of the crazy stories that people are spreading around, and it's mind-boggling what people believe. So it's also a good place to check out conspiracy theories. Like, did you guys know that the Bermuda Triangle is actually a vacation spot for aliens? I just, you know, it's a silly example, but like I said, I'm trying to stay away from real news and real politics so we don't get into any fights in the chat box.
Hey Kate, I was
Yeah,
thinking sometimes I use Snopes too because I don't understand like when there's something going around that seems kind of confusing and there's a lot of confusing messages. Sometimes Snopes will like give you a summary of what's
yeah,
happening from all different sides so you can get a better side. So that's one of the reasons, I mean, besides just trying to fact check, trying to understand what is happening sometimes
yes,
helps there. So
yeah, good point. There's a lot of stuff that there's just so much to keep up with.
oh, so someone asked in the chat,
Okay.
how do we know which fact checker sites are most accurate and who fact checks the fact checkers?
Good question. I looked into that, and that is a good question and a relevant point. Like I said a couple of slides ago, the ones in the list that I presented, these are ones that are the most reliable, according to a lot of other media websites. For example, a lot of newspapers and news stations on the television actually use information from Snopes and PolitiFact and BBC Verify to verify information that they're about to report on. So, but yes, I would take a look at who is sponsoring these fact-checking websites, where they get their money from, if they're associated with any associations, and things like that. That help? But yeah, it's kind of
I,
ironic. You have to,
I think
verify the veracity of the fact-checking websites themselves.
I think too, one of the things that I've learned as just being a librarian is sometimes it's that you can't just trust one source. You have to look at multiple sources and it's the body of evidence that you find. So
Yes.
like the appeal of any sort of clickbait online is that it's quick, right? And you get what seems like a quick answer or a quick idea, but you really have to, like anything else in life, research it a little bit more to make sure you're getting the full picture, all sides of the picture.
Yeah. That is definitely one of the fastest and easiest ways to figure out if the information you're seeing is real or not is to check and see how other media sites are reporting on it, and if they're saying the same story, or if nobody else is reporting on it, or very few sites or resources are reporting on it, then maybe it's not even real at all. So yeah, great point.
Okay, there's another someone else just said do the same with deliberation. Oh, do the same deliberation when you read polls or opinion pieces. Who wrote it? Are they affiliated with a group or organization that would pay them to have that opinion? And that's another, yeah, I mean, anytime you read something, it's good to kind of think it through. I've, like everyone, I've trusted something when I saw it at first. And then later, when I looked into it more, I realized, oh, there was more nuance to that story than what was originally reported. And I needed to find more.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, someone asked, what about the use of AI? Is it trustworthy?
Mm, good question. At the moment, it is not. We did some experiments with AI, and it generates fake citations. Uh, and it's actually also used to create fake videos, fake audio. But at the moment, they're working on AI getting better about what they call hallucinating fake information. But yeah, it's not completely trustworthy at the moment. These are great questions. Okay. Thanks for watching the chat from me, Larissa. Jump in at any time and let me know what's going on because I know I talk too fast. So, all right, where are we? Conspiracy theories. That was from Snopes. There's also something called, am I still sharing my screen, you guys?
You
Yes, you're
are.
good.
Okay, good. PolitiFact. Um, talking about trustworthiness. This actually won the Pulitzer Prize for news coverage about over 10 years ago. Um, it concentrates mostly on news and politics. So here I have just a silly example. NASA faked footage of the astronauts on the International Space Station, which is not true. But what PolitiFact does so that you can see something very quickly is they have this truthometer, which goes from true to all the way opposite, untrue, liar, liar, pants on fire, which is fun, but they are talking about serious things. They concentrate mostly on statements made by politicians, candidates for political office, special interest groups, and others involved in US politics. So this might come in really handy next year during the elections. We're obviously not going to look at any politicians, but one other thing that PolitiFact does is evaluate social media websites. So for example, here we have their evaluation of not Twitter anymore, but X, and it found most of the posts on it to be false or even liar, liar, pants on fire, which is a phrase maybe is too old for most of you to know. Um, it just means very, very fake. Another similar resource is Adfonsis Media Bias Chart. And I know this is really blurry, you guys. I did it on purpose because I don't want to pass any judgment on social media sites that people may like or dislike. But what this does is it ranks media resources in general, and it includes newspapers, news stations, podcasts, websites, everything. And it ranks them on two aspects. On the left, we have rankings by less reliable at the bottom to more reliable at the top. And on the bottom axis, it ranks them on terms of political bias. So on the left, it's more liberal, going to the right, more conservative. So we're not going to look at any of these individual things, but I will tell you one of them one of the highest ranked resources at the top, in the middle, considered to be the most reliable and least biased, is the Weather Channel. I thought that was just wonderfully fun. Okay, so hopefully some of these resources will help you out as you try to evaluate fake news or uh, resources that tend to post fake news. But fake news is not the only type of disinformation. There are quite a lot of other types, and some of them might surprise you. We've got fake reviews on Amazon. So these can be either fake positive reviews for people who are trying to promote their merchandise, or fake negative reviews for people who are trying to downgrade their competitors. And Amazon is working on this. Actually, it's a lot better than it used to be, but there still are fake reviews. And then we have the influencers, the influenced influencers who don't disclose that they're being paid in some way to promote particular products. Let's see, some other types of disinformation. We have advertorials. I love that term. It's what looks to be like an article, but it's actually an advertisement. So you see something like this, you think it's a short article on obesity and bone health. By the time you get to the end of the article, you find out it's just promoting a particular vitamin supplement. In the US, advertorials are required to post somewhere that they are, in fact, advertisements, but they're usually in such teeny tiny little print that you kind of don't notice it. Yeah, so watch out for that. It's usually more in print material and websites.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Kate, on the last slide, it really bothers me that people can post fake reviews
I know.
on things, because then when you're searching and you're trying to find a legitimate item, you don't know what's real and what's not.
Yeah.
But I also heard that you know that website Rotten Tomatoes for movies?
Oh.
People will post fake reviews on there too. If they don't want a movie to succeed, they'll like groups of people will get together and post bad reviews to try to downgrade it so people won't go see it. I don't really understand why, if that's just a hobby people have, but I just think that's so strange.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that because the next thing we're going to talk about is movies. Fake, not only fake reviews, which, yeah, wow, that's interesting. I'll have to look into that. But we've got sort of fake movie previews. They're not fake, but they're not 100% accurate. So we have what's called advertised extras. So it looks like a famous actor is a major character in the movie, but they only make a very brief appearance. I've seen that a lot. You have movies being billed as the wrong genre, so they'll make it look like it's a romantic comedy, but it's really just a depressing, serious melodrama. We've got missing scenes that didn't make it, that were cut where the actual movie came out. We've got multiple previews that tell slightly different versions of what the movie is about. And we have misrepresentative tagline, like Johnny Depp's Sweeney Todd, which was billed as a gothic horror story about a barber taking vengeance on the judge who framed him. But neither the tagline nor the preview tell you that it's a musical. I think they were afraid that men would not want to go see a musical, so they made it just seem like a scary movie and didn't mention all the singing in it. Crazy. Pan's Labyrinth, too. If you watch the preview for that, there's an English voiceover over the whole preview, and it doesn't tell you that it's in Spanish and you have to read subtitles. Just amazing. Great film. Great film. Don't watch it. Actually, for Halloween, that's another good Halloween movie. Okay, so fake previews and now, as Larissa said, fake reviews. Wow, that's amazing. Let's see, looking in the chat. Some people politicize everything. Yeah. Yeah. And oh, some thumbs up for Pan's Labyrinth. Yeah, it's a spooky movie. But it's really good. Great special effects. Okay, let's see what's next. We've got information warfare. This is pretty scary, y'all. I'm not talking about the InfoWars website by Alex Jones here. We're talking about real information warfare used by governments and the military. We're going to go over just a few of the tactics. This is when a government uses information to achieve their national interest. So we've got propaganda, we've got economic warfare, where one country will post fake stuff about another country in the hopes of undermining their economic stability. We've got political influence, trying to shape public opinion and affect election outcomes. Censorship, or prevention of people accessing information. Disrupting communications, like jamming TV and internet and radio transmissions. And social manipulation. This, I think we've all seen quite a lot of. Social manipulation, when people or countries use social media to influence the public sentiment, exploit divisions, and promote specific ideologies. So we saw a lot of this in the elections of 2016, where there was something called astroturfing or sock puppetry. Kind of odd terms. But what they mean is when political entities create fake groups or a lot of fake individual accounts on social media websites to make it seem like there's a lot of public support for something or a lot of public disapproval of something. They're trying to change the general public's opinion and beliefs. And they're on Facebook and Twitter, or sorry, X and TikTok, LinkedIn, everywhere. I mean, it's crazy. Sometimes these fake profiles or groups are also used to complain about a real person, which can lead to content removal or account suspension of real people, which, wow, that's really evil. But yeah, the terms astroturfing and sock puppetry, odd terms, but yes, they work. So
Kate,
yeah.
Kate, what does astroturfing mean?
It's I guess the idea is that AstroTurf has lots of little green blades of grass, so it's when there's a lot of fake accounts on a social media website.
Okay.
That was the only I couldn't get an accurate reason for why it was called that, but that seems
Or
to be a more
maybe,
popular term than soccer.
or maybe because AstroTurf is fake grass and you're fake
Yeah.
accounting. I don't know. I've not heard of that one
Oh,
either.
that makes sense, Larissa, because this started out with a lot of fake grassroots movements. So they would create fake, social groups. Um, yeah, interesting, great. Anybody else have any input on these terms?
I know you can buy accounts too to follow you to look more, so you look more
Oh my gosh, really?
popular. So people, especially influencers, will pay for accounts so they'll look bigger than they are or more popular than they are. Okay, so let's see. Wikipedia says the implication behind the use of the term is that instead of a true or natural grassroots effort behind the activity in question, there's a fake or artificial appearance.
Oh, wow, great. Thank you,
And
Leslie.
someone
Good
else
to know.
said AI told me that it means astroturfing is the practice of hiding the sponsors of a message or organization. The goal is to make it appear as though the message or the organization originates from and is supported by grassroots participants. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Good
Yeah.
examples too.
That makes the term make more sense.
We learned new things today.
Yay. Okay, let's move along to some other types of disinformation. We've got deep fakes, which is when synthetic media is created. So fake videos, fake images, fake audio, usually created or altered using AI. So here's one of Morgan Freeman. This is a 1-minute video on YouTube. Don't look at it yet. You'll get distracted because it's very fun. But it's basically just Morgan Freeman saying, I'm not really Morgan Freeman. This is a completely fake video. You should be careful about what is real and what isn't. It's wonderful. So you've got the link on the slide, or you can just go to YouTube and search for Morgan Freeman deepfake. There's a lot of other examples. And there's some interesting videos on how deepfakes are created. People are really worried about this, y'all, about this is going to be a problem in the upcoming election because deepfakes are getting easier and easier to create now with AI, and they are very difficult to prove that they are fake. It takes a lot more time to prove that a video is fake than it does to create it. So I don't know what's going to happen with that. Let's see. Oh, we're already at 10:30. Okay, I'm so sorry. I see a comment. We're going to go till 10:45 today, you guys. So let me move along real quick. But I love all the comments and questions in the chat box. This is wonderful. We have internet scams and hoaxes. I didn't realize that there are two different things. Hoaxes are pretty much harmless. They're like crop circles or grainy photos of flying saucers or videos of Bigfoot. But scams, on the other hand, are intended to hurt people, steal their information, or to get money from. So we're all familiar with phishing scams. That's really important here at MD Anderson. We have a real goal of not falling for any of those emails or phone calls that appear to be from reputable sources. Watch out for that. You're being tested. But there's a lot of other kinds. Fake charities. This one was new to me. Fake tech support scams, where an IT guy will call you and say, hey, you got a virus on your computer, and they convince people to provide remote access to them for various different ways of getting money or messing up their computers, accessing private information. There's shopping scams where like they'll list something on eBay that doesn't really exist and get your money and then disappear. Romance scams, oh, this one breaks my heart. It's a fake online dating profile that establishes a romantic relationship, usually with an older person, and then gets money. The Nigerian prince scams, that's actually the term used. Lottery prize scams, investment scams. There's millions of different kinds of scams. All right, there's also imposter content. And here's an example of a Earth Sciences journal. It's a pretty well-respected Earth Sciences journal, has a good impact factor. And somebody made basically a replica of it. And it's really hard to tell which is which. I can't even remember which one of these is the real one. But there are a lot of predatory journals out there. There's a lot of fake journals out there. So be careful if you research and write. If you have any questions, just contact us at the library and we can help you with that. We have ways
Kate,
of
which
figuring
one
that
is the imposter?
I don't know. I've forgotten.
So I think the one on the right is the imposter one. I think
Is it?
I've seen this one before.
They both look very credible, don't they? It's hard to tell. But yeah, the library can help you with that. There's also even fake conferences now, you guys, where they invite you to a conference, they want you to be a speaker, you just have to pay them $1,000, and then you get there to the Caribbean or wherever, and there's no conference. Crazy times. Some other types of imposter content are when a website will just slap like a little logo on it that has nothing to do with it. So here we have a website about a flying saucer landing on the White House, and it's got an MSNBC logo on the website, but it's not. MSNBC. One of the ways that you can tell these are fake is by looking at the URL. So this one actually had a URL that was, I can't remember, it was something like msnbc.com.co, msnbcrealnewstoday.com. It's trying to make it look like it's real, but you can kind of tell it's got lots of extra weird stuff. And then we have deceptive naming. This happens a lot when companies or organizations or bills in Congress use deceptive names to try and appear to be something that they're not. So here's just an example I made up, the right to garden, which sounds like it's about protecting homeowners who want to plant vegetables or xeriscaping in their yards. But no, it's actually about protecting the rights of the homeowners associations to tell people what they can and can't put in their yards. This one drives me especially nuts because it's hard to tell when you hear the name of something. You have to do a lot of research to tell what is it really about? Is it really what it says it is? Very difficult. Then we have junk science. Websites, YouTube videos, news stories about things that are not really science, that are presenting themselves as real science. This one is kind of fun. How the pyramids generated electricity. But this is a real thing, you guys. I mean, it's a real fake thing. If you Google Egyptian pyramids and electricity, you'll come up with hundreds of websites and videos on this topic. Just mind-boggling. And a lot of these are being geared towards children, which is weird. Not quite sure why that is, but it's definitely worrisome. There's a lot of guides on the web on how to spot fake science. And I'm sure a lot of us are familiar with a lot of these conflicts of interest. Was it reproduced by anybody else? Did it appear in a peer-reviewed journal? A lot of sensible information, a lot of different versions of this. Some of the versions are even geared towards children. So here's an example of one from the National Geographic, geared towards kids, teaching them that they can't believe everything they read on the web. Really important to educate kids on misinformation and disinformation and get their critical evaluation skills going at an early age. Okay, let's see. Looking at the comments, does Firefest count as a fake festival? Yeah, I would guess so. Um, that was just a crazy thing, wasn't it? Somebody's whose stepdad was an IT guy who got hit by a tech support scam. Oh, that's terrible. Yeah, the scammers are getting really smart. They can take advantage of really smart people now. Okay, we got to move along. Fake images. We're now back to our shark swimming down I-10, the fake photo. There are some sort of easy ways to see whether or not an image you suspect may be fake, to see if it's real or not. And that is to use Google Images. If you just go to Google Images and paste in the URL, it will show you every single website that has used that same image. This can help most of the time. You can see that this particular shark swimming down the freeway was used on dozens and dozens of different websites going back 10 years. So you know it's fake. Some other things that are not quite disinformation, but are very related. Here's a term that was new to me. It's called the attention web. And it's when web pages are designed to keep readers on them as long as possible so they can expose you to advertising. So their goal is not to give you the information, it's to give you the advertising. So here, for example, I went on Amazon just looking for blue dog bowl. I just wanted a blue dog bowl for my little dog. And it gives me hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of results. And 1 out of 20 actually happened to be a blue dog bowl. So I had to spend 10 minutes scrolling through page after page after page of results looking for blue dog bowls. And Amazon's algorithms are better than that. They could give me what I was really looking for, but they want me to stay on the website as long as possible so they can tell their advertisers, the people who pay to put advertising on their website, hey, we have 5 million users who spend 2 hours a week on our website. So give us money to advertise. They've done some psychological studies where they found that people who spend longer on a web page are more likely to buy something because they don't want to have wasted their time. They've also found that people who spend longer on a website are more likely to click on advertising. So yeah, they know this works, and it does. Another type of attention web are click-through galleries. So we've got things like the top 20 worst cars to buy in 2023. But to find the list of all 20, you have to click on page after page, image after image, and really they're not trying to give you the information. They're trying to expose you to an amazing amount of advertising perimeters. But, you get halfway through it and you think, I've got to keep going. I got to see what number 1 is. I need a car. So yeah. Disabled back buttons. Have any of you guys stumbled upon this? It shocked me the first time I saw it. You're on a website, you realize, oh, this isn't very good information, and you click the back arrow key, and it doesn't move from the web page. You have to click it like 5 times, or sometimes you even have to just close the tab in order to get off of that web page. Once again, it's doing that just to keep you on the web page as long as possible. Let's see. Oh, Larissa, we're running out of time. Should I go on or should we?
We should probably wrap it up pretty soon.
Okay. So let me just go quickly. There's so many different types of disinformation, but basically, you're going to have to rely on your critical evaluation skills. And I think actually, as Larissa mentioned at the beginning, the fastest way to do that is to check and see who else is reporting on the information. Is anybody else reporting on the information? Are they credible sources? Are their stories the same? That's the fastest, easiest way, you guys. There are a lot of other things you should consider because this doesn't work every single time. Like with those Egyptian pyramid generating websites, there may be hundreds of other people saying the same thing. Probably not from credible resources, but so one other thing you might want to ask yourself is the 3 who's. Who created the content? Who paid for the content? And who might be benefited or harmed by it? When you think about who created it, just keep in mind what their credentials are, what other information they've created, who's paying them. Always follow the money, and what organizations are they associated. So we'll stop right there. There's tons more to talk about, but we've run out of time. And I want to take a look at the chat.
I just wanted to say one more thing too, Kate. This was really great, Kate. Like super good information, and I learned new stuff.
Yay.
One of the things I think is important to keep in mind too when you're just looking for any information, especially science information, is that there's not always a perfect answer for every question. And that's something we learn as librarians too, is like sometimes you want the perfect answer and it's just not available yet. We don't have enough information or evidence to support whatever that is. So sometimes I feel like people get impatient to get a definitive answer. Like at the beginning of COVID, we all wanted to know what's going on, what's the answer, how do we fix this? And we just didn't have enough evidence at the beginning. So sometimes it takes time and patience to get the right information or so anyway, this was super great, Kate.
Yeah, thanks. There's a lot more to talk about, a lot more things, but
Yeah, we could probably do this all day, but
I know. Just be careful, everybody.
yes. And ask questions if you have questions and reach out to the library if you have questions.
Thank you, everybody.